Okay, next we talk about ancient Greece. So ancient Greece is divided into three periods. Okay, the first period is called the Archaic period, and this goes from 8th century BCE to 6th century BCE. And then we get Classical period, which is 5th and 4th centuries BCE. And then we get the Hellenistic period, which is 3rd century BCE to 1st century BCE. So Archaic, just like the word implies, old Greece, and then Classical period, which is middle, and then Hellenistic is more advanced. So the Greeks were known for having naturalistic but idealized human bodies in their sculptures. So they depicted the human body very realistically, very well, but it was very idealized. Everyone looked the same. They adhered to their ideal aesthetics, so everyone had the same face and they also had the same body. Artistic innovation throughout its history, we're going to see a lot of new, more advanced techniques popping up in ancient Greece. And the works mainly consisted of potteries, metalwork, sculptures, architecture, paintings, and mosaics. Influenced the Roman art and the Renaissance. Actually, the Romans took their whole aesthetics from Greece, and so did the Renaissance, and so did neoclassicism. We're going to talk about those maybe 10 weeks from now. Development of math, astronomy, and philosophy. So they were a powerhouse when it came to science and humanities. And they also developed aesthetics as a branch of philosophy. Okay, so what are some characteristics of Greek art? Mostly involved figurative work. So all the photos that we're gonna see in class, they're gonna be of people and their interaction with each other, and sometimes their interaction with animals, but it's mostly all people. And they had an emphasis on harmonious composition, idealized beauty, and perfect proportions. And they had scenes of battles, mythology, deities, and athleticism. So it was exactly kind of like Mesopotamian and Egyptian art, except they now just had more things going on. Depiction of gods and goddesses, but no sculptures of human leaders. Back then, they made sculptures and they painted their deities, but not so much of their human leaders, like no generals. They're not very common. And these sculptures were made purely for worshiping. Greeks were pagans. They weren't Christians. You know, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, it didn't exist back then. They had their own gods and goddesses and demigods as well. Potteries were mostly terracotta meaning clay, with black paint. Sculptures were very colorful, but worn away over time, and now it's just only marble or bronze. Same with Rome. We're going to see later on that even Roman sculptures, we think they're all just marble, right? But they used to be fully painted. Same with Greek art, Greek sculptures. They used to be fully painted, and then it eroded and wore away over time. Paintings were very colorful, and depiction of ideal beauty led to figures having the same face and body. And then here's some characteristics of each period. Archaic, stiff figures. Classical, leaning figures. And Hellenistic, moving figures. So if you look at what the subjects are doing, if they're standing still or if they're sort of leaning or if they're actually moving. You can really see, you can decide just from the movements or just from their posture what period they're from. So let's look at these. This is a piece called Laocoon and His Sons. And this is a sculpture known as Nike, or in English, you pronounce it Nike. The brand Nike took its name from Nike. Nike is the goddess of victory. And Laocoon is, I think, is a demigod, hence his scale, and his sons are like physically smaller. They're not like, well, they're kind of, they all have adult proportions. They're just like smaller. So I'm guessing they're also adults, but Laocoon is just bigger because he's, first of all, the more important figure, and he's actually a demigod. But I may be wrong. I don't know the full story behind Laocoon, the mythology behind it. But what do you think this period is from? Okay, this obviously is from the Hellenistic period. You can tell by the dynamic movement in all of the figures. Lots of twisting, very realistically, very well carved. Okay, looks like an actual person encased in marble. What about this one? This one, on the final exam, if I show you something like this, this is more ambiguous, right? This can be somewhere between Hellenistic and classical. If I show you something like this and it's ambiguous, I'll take both answers, Hellenistic or classical, because in the final exam, you have to guess which time period a piece of work is from. And if it's something ambiguous like this, then I will accept either answer, because it's fully, you have to make judgments fully by looking at the piece and without actually memorizing what it is. So I'll take both answers, Hellenistic or classical. What about this one? This one is far less detailed than these, right? This is from the Archaic period. The Archaic period, I would say somewhere between Archaic and classical as well. But this, it's a lot more stiff compared to this one. Okay, if you look at Laocoon's face, if you look at the sons' faces, there's a lot of expression. This one, not so much, very stiff. So this one, Archaic. This is pottery from the Archaic period, and the drawings are very flat, a lot more flat than the sculpture than the sculptures that they've made. This is terracotta, which is clay, and it uses black paint to paint the negative spaces. What about this one? What do you think this is? This one is Archaic. Okay, you can tell by the stiff posture. The arms are not moving, they are attached to the hips. Okay, and the face is less detailed, the eyes have no detail. If you look at the hairstyle as well, this is an Archaic Greek hairstyle. It's braided or cornrows, and then they are neatly organized. So the Greeks are very they're actually very mixed genetically. Greeks, Romans, all of Southern Europe is very mixed. Middle East, North Africa, they're all very mixed. So you're going to see a lot of very curly hair, almost Egyptian hair, or Middle Eastern features as well. That's how Greek people are. So this is Archaic Greek. Okay, one leg in front of the other, very stiff. This one is classical. Okay, you can tell by the figure slightly leaning. This most likely had an arm attached to it over on this side. I don't know about this side. This looks like a clean cut, so maybe not. I may be wrong. This is just a guess. So this one, there's a little contra posture going on here where like this one shoulder is higher than this one, and this iliac crest, the pelvis right here, is lower than this iliac crest. Okay, so this one is, if you were to draw a line, it goes like this and it goes like this, and the spine would be a little bit curved like that. But this doesn't have much detail. Not much detail in the face either, and the torso isn't that contorted. Good detail in the fabric, in the cloth, but this is definitely classical because it's somewhere between technique and skill-wise, somewhere between Hellenistic and archaic. So this is classical. What about this one? This one I will accept either classical and Hellenistic. It has just enough body of movement to kind of put it right in between. So if you write classical in the final exam, or if you write Hellenistic, I will take either. It's probably some time between the two periods.